Sony's color, PlayStation's color changed to blue. What's the story behind it? How did you and your team come to it?
So that was it was at a time when the gaming market was going through quite a lot of change in terms of brand building and
Yeah.
rebranding and kind of finding something distinctive in the market. Obviously, that was at a time where the gaming industry is booming. The games are getting better. Kids want more and more platforms to play on.
The
So
CPU power was becoming much bigger. The
it
center
was,
person,
yeah.
the
I mean,
computers, the gaming Xbox and PlayStations were kind of becoming supercomputers in themselves. They were like very
they
fast.
were.
Yeah.
They were. I mean, I grew up in I had a Nintendo, and then I had the Super Nintendo, and then I had the N64, and I was obsessed with the Nintendo 64. I was on GoldenEye for hours. Me and my brother were playing FIFA. So, I kind of grew up on games. I don't have any time now because I'm married with two children, but it was it was a dream job really, because it was at a time when, like we were saying, the computers and the games were getting so good that the competition was becoming quite fierce. And Xbox had recently rebranded and they had become green. There was Nintendo that was typically red and white. They were mostly this kind of clean white safe brand. It's mostly child-based games, whereas PlayStation kind of had this black brand, and it just felt a bit confused. It didn't feel very confident. It felt a bit dated. So there was a brief that went out just saying, we need a bit of more distinctiveness in the market. So, we went away and we kind of looked at the market as it was. It's obviously changing at rates, so we had to kind of keep up with what was going on. But what we really identified was that blue was quite a typically sort of technology based color anyway. It's also, blue's quite a trusted color, but it wasn't really being used in the gaming space much. They were going for quite sort of bright, other primary colors, and blue wasn't really being used that much. And we thought, that's a really good area and opportunity for them to jump on and kind of own that color. And we were also quite conscious that we had to act quite quickly, because things quite change quite fast in the world of branding. But the other thing we identified was actually the PlayStation brands. They started to launch, PlayStation 2, PlayStation Portable. They had PlayStation Vita. They had all of these other sub brands, but they all had very different brand identities. So what we did do was we brought the PS, the iconic PS mark. We brought that back. That really was the master brand, which then sat with all of their brands in a bit more of a sort of structural brand positioning. So it was a bit of a sort of shift change in that we gave them a new color, but we also brought a bit of heritage back into their brand, and actually used the brand equity that they already had in their new brands to follow. The other thing we brought back into their toolkit was the shapes that they have. So obviously on the controller they have the square, the circle, the cross, and the triangle, and they used that in some of their work, but they didn't really use it very confidently. Whereas we then brought that in as a really distinctive brand element, and we actually rendered it in glass. It was in 3D glass, and they all kind of flew towards the screen. You may have seen, I think they ran that for about 10 years
Yeah.
on a lot of their TV adverts. But so yeah, we basically started to really build a more of a confident brand with a set of brand tools that they could then use confidently across all of their